Go. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. I'm John Miglosh for the WDMA. We're going to be talking about humor, and we're going to be talking about, is it time to look into direct mail for your media mix? But let's first have a little fun, and we're going to talk about a mailing piece I got this week. Here we go. Let's see. Got to move it back to there.
Dad does
Mission.
not want gifts. He said don't buy him anything. He has no need for more stuff. But when he gets logs for the fire, it's sad to watch. Etsy.
Etsy.
Log bag.
Etsy.
Personalized? Yes.
Sees a need and fills it. That's
He said
marketing.
no gifts, but
Dad, it
Wow.
yes, gifts.
Personalized gifts made by real people.
Okay, Etsy has it. And I thought that, I always like gifts from my daughters. And I have a log carrier, but it's falling apart. So if any of my daughters happen to see this, that might be a hint. I don't need anything quite that fancy, although my last one did fall apart. But it brought me to a piece of mail that came the other day at home. And this is what it was. It said, we're all out of the ordinary. Not exactly sure what that means. Okay. And it was from, up here it says, uncommon goods. Right there. And it was, let's just say, uninteresting enough for me to be interested in it. And so it says, Uncommon Goods, your source for hand-picked original gifts and experiences. Every time you shop with us, you support independent artists and help us put people over profit as part of our B Corp values. None of that makes any sense to me. Every time you buy anything, it helps somebody get paid, right? So, but maybe you have some soft spot in your heart for artists. I don't know. It says new products drop every day, but it's such fine print that a person in my category can't probably even read it. I reached out to Dave Balatsky, who's the founder, and said, you could at least put a QR code on there so I could get to your site. There's no offer. There's no call to action. There's no nothing. It's not even personalized. It says resident. It's got my name on it. Resident. And there isn't even a decent return address. It says Return Mail Services, P.O. Box 309, Eatontown, New Jersey. And so there's nothing in there that says, it says pre-sorted first class mail. So they've got a nothing, no offer, no copy, nothing that even makes any sense. The headline doesn't make any sense to me. I can't see what any of those gifts are, if it's tailored to me or not. Can't tell. But what happened yesterday, last night, was that I got this in my Facebook feed, right? I got an ad for Uncommon Goods, which I screen captured. Each personalized ornament has a name hidden in its intricate laser cut design, and like real snowflakes and people, each one is unique and something. I can't see any people in there. I can't see any names in there. I don't know why they think I might get that, but I was impressed that it was from the same place I got a postcard. So, although the postcard wasn't addressed to me, and my wife just said, this is a dull-looking mailer, but maybe they're coordinating it. So, if you're with Uncommon Goods, I'll tag the company and the founder and anybody. I don't think I have any first-level connections there, but I would love to hear the rationale for that. I don't know everything. Sometimes odd does attract my attention. So anyway, somebody's trying mail, and they do have a catalog. So I sent away for the catalog, it seems. They have an online catalog. It looks like it has almost no copy or pricing. But we'll see when it comes. We'll show it to you. and hopefully comes soon. Okay, here's another drum article that was very thoughtful by Mackie Kessels. Mikey? Maki? No, I've never seen that name before. At the drum, it says, have advertisers accidentally canceled comedy by being too purposeful? This kind of dovetails on yesterday's article that, by being purposeful, we may be damaging our customer segmentation. And this one suggests we may be damaging our advertising. So nostalgia is a trusty tool of any comedian, but Mackie Kessels, a strategist at Ogilvy, believes it's time for advertisers to get nostalgic for comedy. And she has cites some fantastic statistics and things. Audiences are crying out for a bit of light relief in the form of an ad that puts a smile on their faces. Smell like a man. Smell like a man, man. Old Spice. Unfortunately, there's a catch. These permanent crises aren't something to laugh at, and that seems to be what it is. We have a crisis after a crisis after a crisis, and oftentimes the crisis is bigger than the actual threat. I think sometimes we ignore the real threats and worry more about the pretend threats that consolidate power. Is that a good way to put it? Right. So, and I better not get off on that. Anyway, so there's an era of purpose-driven marketing, and Mark Ritson talks about this a lot and how it may not be as effective as we've thought. It did stand out when only a couple of people were doing it, but now have we lost our sense of humor? Okay, and there was a WARC ranking of 2023, and none of the ads harnessed the power of humor. Now, I wanted to point out that could be circular. There are funny ads out there. I found lots of them. Sarah Fletcher wrote me a couple of weeks ago and said, where do you find these ads? Well, I find them all over the place. I have my sources, but a lot of them are funny. I like the funny ones, right? I have to admit, I like the funny ones. I like the tear jerkers, you can tell. But maybe they just don't enter them into the beauty contests, which basically a lot of the ad contests are. The Echo used to be, based on results of some sort, but as a judge, as the last judge of the Echo Awards, of the 86-year-long Echo Awards, there wasn't a whole lot that you could tell whether they, there's always some number. You might get a high response rate but lose money, or you might get a high profitability and not get any response, or there's something. There's always something you can say if you're a marketing person. But so maybe we're just not entering the contest if we have a funny ad, because we know that we have to have purpose, and that's the only ones that win these days. But in a recent study by Oracle, a whopping 91%, and this is really good, want a brand to be funny, prefer a brand to be funny. 72% would also choose a brand that uses humor over the competition. The latter being part of why humor has traditionally been popular in ultra competitive categories like FMCG, which I don't know what that is, because we don't do that kind of, that doesn't usually make it into the direct mail catalogs. We focus on unnecessary luxuries and things like that. So if our audiences want to laugh as well as a conscience, why aren't we giving it? Why aren't we giving them it? It's a funny construction. Why do we now fear humor? Well, it's because not only do we have to worry about people being offended, but we have to be worried about people who are worried about people being offended. So, the Redskins changed their logo. Oh, I'm sorry, the Washington Colonels, or whatever they are now. They made it a big piece of popcorn, unpopped popcorn. Anyway, Washington Generals. I think those were they played against the Harlem Globetrotters or something. Anyway, whatever the Washington football team is now, they had been the Redskins for many, 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 many years, and the logo by the Redskins was designed by a Native American artist who was very, very proud of it, and so was his family. And I think they're actually suing the Redskins now to try and bring back the logo because they're so mad that they've genericized it. So the very people that the Redskins wanted to be sure to make happy were unhappy by the move, and I can see why. Marquette Warriors changed it to the Marquette Warrior is a generic term, but I think there was an Indian associated with it, Native American, and so then they made it the Golden Eagles. Like, okay, great. Anyway, so we fear backlash, not just from the people who are actually related to it, but from the people who take it on themselves to defend the people who aren't offended. And that's pervasive these days. And the financial crisis kind of put a damper on humor, which you can see why it might. But even in 2022, the world's best ads of all time only contained two humorous ads. One was the Old Spice guy, and the other was the Skittles. This one was kind of actually a downer, it seemed like to me. That was a stapler that he turned into Skittles, and I didn't watch the whole thing because he was talking about how he shook a man's hand on the way to work. He'll never see his children again. The man he shook his hands. He's got the Skittles touch instead of the Midas touch. But hopefully at the end it was more upbeat. Anyway, so this article actually gives you tips for bringing levity. How can we bring it back? And one was to embrace the stereotypes a little bit and make a little bit of fun of them, like the Barbie movie did. I did not see the Barbie movie, full disclosure. And one of my favorites, of course, is the Skittles commercial. And Skittles did this, I'm guessing, China or, well, ninjas are Japanese. I read a book, Across the Ninja Floor. Anyway, and they put Mr. Bean in it. It was really funny, but I'm not going to show it to you. But you can look it up on YouTube. Be lateral, but not literal. Here's an ad for The Economist. I never read The Economist, or I never read The Economist. That's one of those funny words you can't tell. And then down here it says, marketing or management trainee, age 42. And it is kind of funny because the implication, I think, is that if he would have been reading The Economist, he might have gotten there sooner. I don't know, of course. But, leaders are readers. And I don't read The Economist either, and maybe I could use some management training. But it, there is a little bit of tongue-in-cheek in there that's, it's well done, I have to say. And here's one. The milk lobby thinks are you stupid? It reminds me of the article the headline I offered to Marion Merrill Dow for Cardizem, which is an anti-angina medicine. And I said, well, if you really want people to respond, why don't you read this ad or drop dead? They didn't go for that. I thought it was funny, but anyway, are you stupid? The milk lobby thinks you are. The milk lobby. Oat drink. Oat milk is what they call it. Oat milk, and right. So they're lobbying to say it can't be called milk. And I think there's some reasonableness to that. I've kind of given up on cereal, but when I did eat cereal, I would drink oat milk quite a bit. But I knew the difference. Use lightness, but never make light of. And we can do purpose by being the punchline ourselves, right? Striking the delicate balance between humor and purpose is challenging. but it's a welcome change. So let's embrace, and even humor done badly can be humorous, I have to say. But it may not sell. That's always the trouble. Does this sell? Does the Oatly ad sell? Right? I think the Mr. Bean one, absolutely. What was the one candy I bought for Halloween? Snickers. Right, my favorite. Anyway, let's get over to direct mail. Okay, is it a good time for marketers to reconsider the role of direct mail in the media mix? And another work story. I don't know much about work. I went to their website, and apparently they're a marketing information company. And so they did research and found that mail has an attention advantage, is a powerful addition to the media mix, and over 80% of mail delivered in an envelope is opened. That one is really hard for me to believe. That we get 80% open rate. I believe it's probably more engaging than a lot of things, but this one said that it was really a good deal too. Patrick Malone, who was part of the research company, said, as we stand on the cusp of a new era in advertising, one marked by evolving technologies, shifting consumer behaviors, and heightened privacy concerns, this research paper offers strategic guidance and actionable recommendations. I didn't see a link to the research paper. I'll go try and track that down. In the context of attention and mail. Paul Stringer, managing editor for research and advisory at Work. In a world where the battle for attention is becoming ever harder to win, we found that not only is mail highly effective at generating attention, it's also one of the most cost-efficient channels at delivering against this objective, which is interesting because we don't really measure, as mailers, we never measured influence. Right? We never measured, does this, now I threw the mailer aside. And does that mailer for Uncommon Goods get attention? Get you to type in the URL. I did, right? My wife didn't. I think there could be some better things that would get it even more. And I would love to split test with you. Sometimes people take my suggestions on this show and they just implement them and they do well. But better yet, mail some more of those and mail. We'll see if that cuts the show in half. Some days it does, some days it doesn't. One of the things they did was measure the time spent versus the cost. So the time of attention. But the other day I did an article that said when people are watching sports games, they're also surfing on their phone, which is what I was doing on Saturday while I was watching the Badger game, which was a sad state of affairs. And a lot of times I don't even watch the game because it takes too long. I watch the score go, and then I decide if I'm going to watch the highlights. Like last night, the Bucks lost by 25 or something. I just decided not to watch the highlights, though I'm sure there were some. So 2/3 of respondents claimed it attracted their undivided attention. Wow. Okay, so here, 63% undivided attention, right? And they weren't doing anything else. That's pretty something. Okay, and then they talked about the different kinds of mail, business mail, direct mail, partially addressed. I think that was with the postcard or door drops. These don't get as much, but they're very, very inexpensive because you're bypassing the U.S. Postal Service. Okay, mail is one of the most cost-efficient channels for capturing consumer attention. And we really, really do lose track of that, right? We're willing to put a TV commercial up, a Snickers or something, with no response device, no attempt at really tracking it. We do an ad and sales go up, okay? But we don't do that for mail. Here's the cost per minute of attention, okay? The door dropper was right down there with outdoor, which is very, very inexpensive, and beat TV, mass media, which I thought was great. And direct mail beat everything but TV, basically, in outdoor, in the cost per minute of attention. Plus, you can give a lot more information than a 30-second TV spot or a billboard. Billboard can have hardly any attention. So mail stimulates a physical as well as a mental interaction. And 58%, according to the 1,000 participants, said was saved for future reference. Lucy Haley, executive head of strategy at Havas CX Helia, mail's power to feel valuable physically in our hands is not something to underestimate, right? So you have 10 times the neural receptors in your brain for touch as you do for sight. Think about that. And therefore, when you pay attention to mail, you are getting, 10 times the brain stimulation, and you will remember it much more, other studies have shown. By deploying mail strategically at key moments, we can witness moments of magic throughout the customer experience. I wonder if I got that Facebook. I bet I got the Facebook because I just visited the site. I probably got their cookie, and that's what triggered it. Yeah, I'm sure that's it. But still, it sort of worked. Now, sadly, they won't know necessarily. They won't know my zip code or they won't know my address. They may, well, it has an address on it, so it wasn't every door direct. So they could be cross-checking that. We'll see if I get a follow-up in the next day or two. That would be likely. That's what they should be doing. Since I went to the website, I got the postcard, I went to the website, hope they do a match back, and the website triggered a Facebook. So if I go back now and buy something, probably Facebook will get credit. That's the way that works in these days. Okay, so great last diagram. Mail can deliver uplifts across every stage of the funnel: awareness, consideration, intent, and transaction. And I think, again, we lose track of that. And I really, really like this article. So thank you for that. There's the methodology and some more findings as well. So have a great day. Share this one. Go to WDMA. Oh, and I'm supposed to say this. Give me a call if you have a mailing piece you'd like looked at, or if you have digital media that you think you should convert and test some mail. And we can talk about some of the pluses and minuses. And happy to help. I also recommend you join the WDMA and join the digital resistance. And we'll throw in the consultation for a membership. Bye-bye.